Harry's wife. Netflix gets Markled. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As you know, one of the consequences of many people being involved with Harry's wife is they become what is known as Markled, i.e. things go wrong for them. So, for example, those that thought they forged friendships with her found themselves placed upon the shelf and indeed in some instances disengaged from, used and shunted to one side. Family members on the Markle side have found themselves duly Markled, ignored, put to one side because her narcissism deems that they are too difficult to control directly, and therefore, because of the threat to control that they pose, she asserts control over her half-siblings and her father by staying in a position of withdrawal. Furthermore, they serve no purpose to her with regard to the provision of fuel, character traits and residual benefit, and therefore it's easy just to maintain control through withdrawal and not seek anything else from them. Collaborations with her come to naught. Attendances fall as a consequence of her involvement. And basically, as I've explained elsewhere, she has the Saddam touch, or Saddam touch, namely the Midas touch in reverse, that everything she touches turns to shit, initiatives don't progress, charities come short, that people find that their involvement with her produces responses whereby people are not interested or positively retreat from providing their patronage. Netflix, of course, clambered into bed with Harry's wife with regard to a rather large sum of money. And although, of course, they're getting quite a lot of viewing as a consequence of the, if you like, car crash factor for the docu-series, it would appear that another collateral consequence is coming their way, courtesy of being involved with the Empress of Woke. We turn to Birmingham Live with an article by James Roger which tells us Rishi Sunak, the British Prime Minister, considering law change after Prince Harry and Harry's wife's Netflix series. Well, what might this be? What is Rishi Sunak considering? Is this a piece of legislation to ensure that the gruesome twosome are never heard from again? Oh, if only so many of you cry out. Is it a piece of legislation ensuring that we don't have to endure them being in the United Kingdom? Again, if only, I hear you cry. Well, let us dive in deeper and find out what it is. Rishi Sunak is planning to take on Netflix with plans to regulate streaming services. So the hitherto unregulated Netflix, at least within the United Kingdom, is suddenly finding itself under the scrutiny of the British Prime Minister. But why? What has caused this? Well, apparently it comes amid an ongoing fallout to Prince Harry and Harry's wife's Netflix show. The Sussexes have been accused of peddling lies in the docu-series, which dropped its first 3 episodes on December the 8th, before the final 3 a week later on December the 15th. Culture Secretary Michelle Dernalan is hoping to bring forward the powers in the media bill early next year. Mr. Sunak will give the broadcasting watchdog the power to take on Netflix for the first time. So, says the Netflix executives, thanks very much, Harry's wife. As a consequence of the bullshit that you've peddled through your docu-series, which so many people have complained about and seen, you've now caused us to come within the purview of the British regulatory authorities. Hitherto, we cruised along quite satisfactorily, not inviting regulation from them or scrutiny, but now, as a consequence of the fact that we got into bed with the lying grifter, we now find that our streaming service is going to be pulled within legislation so it can be scrutinised. Thank you very much, Duchess of Industrial Beige. Mr. Sunak will give the broadcasting watchdog the power to take on Netflix for the first time, it has emerged. It would mean viewers can complain to Ofcom about shows on Netflix, Amazon Prime and Disney+. Collective groans elsewhere. Thanks very much, say the executives at Amazon Prime and Disney+. We didn't even get into bed with the liar, and now we're getting regulated as well. Thanks very much. Under the broadcasting rules outlined in Ofcom's code, factual programmes or items or portrayals of factual matters must not materially mislead the audience. Tory Member of Parliament Bob Seeley said, "I do think, on principle, that Netflix and other video streaming services should have the same ethical standards as other broadcasters like the British Broadcasting Corporation." Tim Loughton MP said they should be subject to the same criteria. That's the problem with anything that's now streamed or anything that's now available on the internet. They're not subject to the same publishing criteria as if it were a hard copy or in the terrestrial media. Netflix said it was supportive of the measures to update the legal framework and bring our service in the UK under Ofcom's jurisdiction. Ofcom, the United Kingdom communications regulator, will be appointed as the regulator for the online safety bill. The broadcasting watchdog will be given a range of powers to gather the information it needs to support its oversight and enforcement activity. If Ofcom takes action against a service, details of that disciplinary measure must be published. It comes amid a backlash to the Netflix series showing false footage. Journalist Robert Jobson said some of the images used by the pair in the show were a complete travesty and not an example of press intrusion. As you know in parts passim through the trailers, I explained that some of the imagery used didn't belong to Harry and his wife, and indeed were not relevant to their own circumstances. The Harry Potter premiere, for example, the footage surrounding the lawyer who was being harassed by the press, again nothing to do with Harry and his wife, and other instances that I have explained that were nothing to do with the gruesome twosome. And that's above and beyond, of course, the other aspects that have come out in the docuseries, which I'm working my way through. So as a consequence of Harry's wife telling lies, revising history, this has meant that so many people have been dismayed, annoyed, disgusted by this behaviour that they've been moved to want to complain about it. But of course, there's nothing that can currently be done because Netflix as a streaming service does not come within the auspices of Ofcom. Well, now that's changing, and Netflix and all the other streamers can thank Harry's wife for causing them to find themselves subjected to this greater level of scrutiny. It once again demonstrates that if you get into bed with Harry's wife, invariably it'll go wrong at some point and you'll find yourself losing out, finding yourself lambasted, finding yourself being criticised, cast to one side, all as a consequence of the phenomenon that is known as being Markled. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.